Chosen one. This message is finding you at a moment when heaven has already finished deliberating. What once felt delayed, debated, or uncertain has now been settled in the courts of the Most High. Your wealth is no longer in question, not because circumstances improved, but because a divine verdict has been released. As it is written in Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3, the vision may tarry, but it will surely come, and it will not delay. That appointed moment is now pressing into your timeline. Anointed one, there has been a quiet shift in the unseen. What was withheld for your protection is now being released for your assignment. Heaven does not fund confusion, but it always finances purpose. And you are no longer being tested for readiness. You are being trusted with increase. As it is written in Deuteronomy chapter 8 verse 18, it is the Lord who gives you power to get wealth that he may establish his covenant. That power is activating now. Chosen one, listen carefully. This is not hype. This is alignment. Stay with this message, and if your spirit bears witness, subscribe and stand with this channel and type 777 in the comments as a sign of agreement. What is coming will silence every doubt because heaven has already answered. Chosen one. There is a reason your spirit has felt unusually alert lately, as if something unseen has been pressing closer. This is not anxiety. This is anticipation. When heaven moves toward intervention, the soul often senses it before the mind can explain it. There comes a moment when the questions stop coming from God's side, and the only question left is whether you will agree. And right now, heaven is not asking whether you qualify. Heaven is announcing that the debate over your provision has ended. Your wealth is no longer in question. Anointed one, I want to speak to you not from a distant pulpit, but from the road. I know what it is to wake up with responsibilities heavier than your resources, to calculate costs down to the smallest detail and still come up short. I know what it is to pray with faith and then check your account with realism. And I also know the moment when something shifted that had nothing to do with numbers. The day provision stopped being stressful was not the day money arrived. It was the day I realized heaven had taken ownership of the outcome. That is the shift happening for you now. Chosen one, you have been faithful in the unseen season. You carried integrity when compromise would have paid faster. You stayed quiet when defending yourself would have felt justified. You kept giving, loving, building, and believing even when there was no applause and very little evidence. Heaven does not forget that kind of obedience. Scripture reminds us that the Lord watches over the diligent and establishes the work of their hands, and there comes a point where preparation meets permission. You are standing in that intersection now. Anointed one, let me say this clearly. The delay you experienced was not a denial of wealth. It was a refining of identity. God does not release increase into a mindset still negotiating worth. He does not pour abundance into a vessel that believes it must earn love through struggle. That is why your season felt long. Heaven was not withholding money. Heaven was healing the part of you that would have used money to prove something instead of steward something. And now that healing has reached maturity. Chosen one. You may have noticed that certain fears have lost their edge. Things that once triggered panic now only cause pause. That is not emotional numbness. That is spiritual authority forming. When God is about to elevate someone financially, He first removes the fear of lack from their voice. He teaches them how to breathe in uncertainty without collapsing. I remember moments where bills arrived and peace arrived at the same time, and that was the sign that provision had already shifted in the unseen. The supply had not shown up yet, but the fear had already left. That is a greater miracle than money itself. Anointed one, heaven is intervening because your assignment requires momentum. You are not being elevated for display. You are being elevated for alignment. There are conversations you are meant to enter, decisions you are meant to make, and solutions you are meant to fund that cannot wait on survival mode. This is why the pressure has increased and the clarity has sharpened. God accelerates those he trusts, and trust is built in obscurity, not in overflow. Chosen one, hear this with discernment. Wealth in your life will not arrive as chaos. It will arrive as order. It will simplify where things were tangled. It will stabilize where things were fragile. And it will expose who and what no longer belongs. When heaven backs provision, it comes with instruction. Doors will open that feel calm, not rushed. Opportunities will present themselves without manipulation. And you will know what to say yes to, not because it looks impressive, but because it carries peace. Anointed one. There was a time I believed that when money finally came, everything else would settle. I learned instead that when identity settles, money follows naturally. That lesson was costly, but it was necessary. And I share it with you now because you are not stepping into wealth as compensation for suffering. You are stepping into wealth as confirmation of alignment. The suffering refined you. The alignment positions you. The wealth simply obeys. Chosen one. Some of you listening have wrestled with guilt around abundance. You were taught that struggle equals virtue and ease equals compromise. That lie kept generations stuck. Heaven is breaking that pattern through you. You are learning that obedience can be funded, that righteousness does not require exhaustion, and that rest is not laziness, but trust. As it is written in the wisdom of Scripture, the blessing of the Lord makes rich and adds no sorrow with it. That kind of increase does not crush the soul, it supports it. Anointed one, this is why your spirit is being called into deeper surrender, not deeper striving. The temptation right now will be to overthink, to plan excessively, to guard yourself from disappointment. But this is not the hour to clutch control. This is the hour to agree with heaven. Surrender is not passivity. It is alignment with a higher intelligence. When you release the need to force outcomes, you make room for outcomes you could not manufacture. Chosen one. I am speaking to the part of you that still wonders if this word is really for you. That quiet voice that says, maybe for others, but not for me. That voice does not come from discernment. It comes from old survival strategies that kept you safe when things were uncertain. Thank that voice for its service, and then let it go. You are no longer in that season. Heaven does not announce intervention without intention. Anointed one, take a breath here. Not because this message is ending, but because something in you is settling. Agreement is forming. The inner resistance is loosening. And when that happens, movement follows. Your wealth is no longer in question because your obedience is no longer in doubt. Heaven has weighed your heart, your history, and your humility, and the answer has already been given. Stay present, stay receptive, stay aligned. The shift has begun. Chosen one. Now that the noise has quieted and the fear has loosened its grip, this is where the real recalibration begins. Because when heaven settles a matter, it does not simply change your circumstances, it reshapes your posture. Many people think wealth shifts begin in accounts, contracts, or opportunities, but every true heaven-backed shift begins in the inner world. And right now, God is adjusting how you see, how you expect, and how you receive. Anointed one. I want to speak honestly with you. There were seasons when I prayed for increase, but what I was really asking for was relief. I wanted the pressure to stop, the uncertainty to lift, the weight to ease. What I did not realize at the time was that God was not trying to remove the pressure. He was using it to rewire me, because relief without alignment only postpones collapse. Heaven does not rescue you just to return you to the same cycle with better tools. Heaven elevates you out of the cycle entirely. Chosen one, that is why the struggle lingered longer than you expected. Not because you were doing something wrong, but because God was doing something deep. He was dismantling the version of you that associated safety with scarcity. He was separating your identity from survival, and he was teaching you how to stand steady even when provision had not yet appeared. That stability is not optional. It is required for the level you are entering. Anointed one, you may have noticed that you are no longer impressed by shortcuts. Things that once tempted you now feel hollow. Opportunities that promise quick gain but compromise your spirit no longer attract you. That is not maturity for maturity's sake. That is discernment being sharpened, because wealth without discernment is dangerous. God protects his chosen ones by removing their appetite for what would destroy them later. Chosen one, there is also a reason certain people have drifted away quietly, not through conflict, not through betrayal, just distance. That distance was mercy. Some relationships were only compatible with the version of you that needed validation through struggle. As your spirit healed, those connections lost their grip. This is not loss. This is alignment. Wealth does not tolerate constant leakage, emotional or spiritual. Heaven is simplifying your environment because what is coming requires clarity, not crowding. Anointed one, let me ground this in something real. I remember a time when an opportunity appeared that looked like answered prayer on the surface. The money was there, the door was open, but my spirit felt heavy every time I thought about stepping into it. Old me would have ignored that feeling and called it fear, but healed me recognized it as warning. I said no, even though it meant staying in uncertainty longer. Months later, I understood. That door would have capped my growth. The waiting was protection. The delay was precision. Chosen one, that is how heaven operates. It does not rush outcomes. It aligns them. And alignment often feels slower than anxiety-driven action. But the fruit lasts longer. Right now, God is teaching you to trust peace more than pressure. If something requires you to abandon rest, integrity, or clarity to access it, it is not heaven-funded, no matter how impressive it looks. Anointed one, wealth that comes from God does not arrive screaming urgency. It arrives with quiet authority. It does not beg for your attention. It confirms itself through peace. This is why your nervous system has been part of the process. You could not steward abundance while your body was trained for constant alert. God has been calming your internal alarms so you do not misinterpret stability as boredom or peace as lack of ambition. Chosen one. Some of you are realizing now that chaos was never your motivation. It was your conditioning. You learned to function under pressure, to perform under stress, to feel alive only when something was at risk. Heaven is breaking that pattern, because sustainable wealth requires sustainability in the soul. You are learning how to move forward without panic, how to build without burnout, how to receive without guilt. Anointed one, this is where surrender deepens. Not the surrender that gives up, but the surrender that trusts timing. I had to learn this the hard way. There were moments when I tried to help God by forcing outcomes, making connections prematurely, or saying yes out of fear that nothing else would come. Every time I did, I paid for it in exhaustion. The breakthrough did not come faster. It came heavier. And I learned that alignment saves energy, not just integrity. Chosen one, heaven is not asking you to do more right now. It is asking you to listen better. The next phase of your provision will be guided, not guessed. Ideas will come with clarity attached. Conversations will carry weight. You will find yourself being introduced, not networking, positioned, not scrambling. That does not mean effort disappears. It means effort becomes focused instead of frantic. Anointed One, you are also being healed of comparison. You are no longer measuring your progress against people who started differently, inherited differently, or compromised differently. Your path has always been custom. God did not take you through what He took you through just to place you in a generic outcome. What is being released to you fits your history, your heart, and your calling. Chosen One. This is why your wealth is no longer in question. Not because you finally did enough, but because you finally became stable enough. Stability is attractive to heaven. Humility is trustworthy. Obedience creates permission. And you have been faithful in the places that never paid publicly. That kind of faithfulness does not go unrewarded. It gets repositioned. Anointed One, do not rush this moment. Let the agreement settle. Let the old urgency dissolve. Let the need to prove anything fade. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not overlooked. Heaven has been precise with you because what you are about to carry must last, and it will. Chosen One, as this recalibration deepens, there is another layer heaven is addressing, and it is the layer most people never realize stands between them and sustained abundance. It is not opportunity. It is not talent. It is not even discipline. It is permission, not heaven's permission, but yours. Many people pray for increase while quietly believing they are safer without it. God does not override the inner agreements you have made in secret. He waits until your spirit gives consent to receive without self-sabotage. Anointed One, this may feel confronting, but it is freeing. There was a time in my life when every breakthrough was followed by an inexplicable pull backward. Money would come, then leave. Momentum would build, then stall. I blamed timing, people, even spiritual warfare. But eventually, I saw it clearly. Part of me believed that if things became too stable, I would lose my edge. If life became too good, I would become complacent. So without realizing it, I kept choosing familiar struggle over unfamiliar ease. Heaven was willing, I was not. Chosen One. God is exposing these hidden contracts now, not to shame you, but to release you. Some of you equated abundance with responsibility you did not feel ready to carry. Others associated wealth with relational distance, judgment, or isolation. You saw what money did to people around you growing up, and your spirit quietly decided, I do not want that. Heaven heard that agreement and honored it, not as a punishment, but as respect for your free will. That agreement is being revisited now. Anointed One, you are not the same person who made those decisions. You are healed where you were wounded. You are discerning where you were naive. You are grounded where you were reactive. That is why God is bringing these subconscious beliefs to the surface, not to rehash the past, but to update your internal operating system. Old permissions no longer apply. Chosen One, you may have noticed that you are being invited into conversations you once felt unqualified to enter. Rooms that would have intimidated you before now feel neutral. Not exciting, not frightening, just appropriate. That is a sign of alignment. When identity catches up to calling, the atmosphere changes. You no longer shrink or perform. You simply show up as yourself. Anointed One, this is where wealth stops feeling distant and starts feeling practical. Not in fantasy, but in form. Ideas begin to arrive that match your capacity. Solutions come that fit your schedule, not overwhelm it. The frantic energy of I have to figure this out now is replaced by a steady sense of direction. This is how heaven-backed provision manifests. It does not flood the system, it integrates with it. Chosen One. I want to ground this again in lived reality. There was a season when I believed that success had to be exhausting to be legitimate. If I was not tired, I felt unproductive. If I was not under pressure, I felt irresponsible. When ease finally began to appear, I distrusted it. I kept adding weight where none was required. It took time to learn that rest is not a reward for work. It is a requirement for stewardship. God does not bless burnout. He heals it first. Anointed One. This is why heaven has been slowing certain things down even as others accelerate. You are being taught to distinguish between movement and momentum. Movement can be frantic. Momentum is intentional. Movement drains. Momentum carries. What is coming to you will move because it has weight, not because you push it. Chosen One. There is also a shift happening in how you relate to time. Scarcity trains people to rush. Abundance teaches patience. You are learning that not everything urgent is important, and not everything important announces itself loudly. God is sharpening your ability to discern timing, not just opportunity. This is crucial because misaligned timing can turn a blessing into a burden. Anointed One, hear this carefully. You are not being positioned to chase wealth. You are being positioned to host it. Hosting requires space. Space requires boundaries. Boundaries require confidence. That confidence is forming now. You are saying no without guilt. You are pausing without panic. You are trusting without over-explaining. These are not small changes. These are markers of readiness. Chosen One. Some of you have wrestled with the idea that wanting more might make you greedy or ungrateful. That belief kept you loyal to limitation. Gratitude and desire are not opposites. You can honor where you are and still expand where you are going. God does not confuse contentment with stagnation. He invites growth that flows from trust, not dissatisfaction. Anointed One, wealth in the kingdom is never about accumulation alone. It is about circulation. But circulation requires a clear channel. God is clearing your channel. Emotional blockages are dissolving. Old disappointments are losing their charge. You are no longer reacting to life through past wounds. You are responding from present awareness. That is why your reactions feel slower and your decisions feel cleaner. Chosen One. I want to address the quiet fear that sometimes arises at this stage. The fear that says, what if this really happens? What if my life actually changes? That fear is natural. It does not disqualify you. It signals transition. The unknown always feels risky to a nervous system trained by survival. But you are not stepping into chaos. You are stepping into order at a higher level. Anointed One. Heaven is not taking something away from you to give you something else. It is expanding what you already are. You will still recognize yourself. You will still value depth, truth, and integrity. The difference is that these values will now be resourced instead of restricted, supported instead of strained. Chosen One. Your wealth is no longer in question because your identity is no longer fragmented. You are no longer trying to be holy and hungry at the same time. You are no longer choosing between faith and function. Those divisions are healing. Integration is happening. And when integration happens, provision follows naturally. Anointed One, stay present in this process. Do not rush to define outcomes. Let clarity emerge organically. Trust the quiet confidence forming in you. This is not emotional hype. This is structural change. And structures once set hold weight. Chosen One, as this inner permission solidifies, heaven begins to respond in ways that feel both subtle and unmistakable. This is the phase where alignment starts expressing itself in the natural world, not as sudden chaos, but as quiet confirmation. You begin to notice that what once felt blocked now moves with less resistance. Conversations flow differently. Doors open without strain. Problems that used to demand hours of emotional energy resolve themselves with a single decision. This is not coincidence. This is coherence. Anointed One. There is a difference between chasing provision and attracting provision. Chasing is driven by fear of not having enough. Attraction is the byproduct of becoming congruent with what you are meant to steward. God does not pour wealth into confusion. He pours it into clarity. And clarity has been forming in you steadily, patiently over time. That clarity is now becoming visible. Chosen One. I want to be honest about something that rarely gets said in prophetic spaces. Elevation often feels quieter than expected. Many imagine that when heaven intervenes, everything becomes dramatic and obvious. But most divine shifts announce themselves through peace, through a sense of rightness that does not need validation, through decisions that feel simple rather than forced. This is how you know the shift is real. It does not hijack your nervous system, it stabilizes it. Anointed One. There was a time when I expected breakthrough to feel explosive. I thought it would come with adrenaline celebration and a clear sense of arrival. Instead, it came with a calm clarity that almost felt anticlimactic. And then I realized something important. The breakthrough did not need to announce itself, because it was not temporary. It was structural. It was meant to last. God was not giving me a moment. He was giving me a new normal. Chosen One, that is what is unfolding for you now. A new normal where provision is no longer the primary concern. A new normal where decisions are made from alignment, not urgency. A new normal where you are not constantly bracing for loss or disappointment. This does not mean challenges disappear. It means challenges no longer define your internal state. Anointed One. This is also where stewardship becomes central. Not stewardship born from fear of losing what you have, but stewardship rooted in respect for what has been entrusted to you. Heaven is preparing you to handle increase with wisdom, not anxiety. You will find yourself asking different questions. Not, how do I get more? But how do I sustain what is growing? Not, what if this ends? But how do I honor this season, well chosen one? The way you relate to money itself is changing. It is becoming neutral again, not a source of identity, not a measure of worth, just a tool, a resource, a means of expression for what God is doing through you. When money loses its emotional charge, it becomes far easier to steward. You no longer chase it or fear it, you direct it. Anointed One. This neutrality is powerful. It allows you to see opportunities clearly without attaching your sense of self to the outcome. You can walk away from what is misaligned without panic. You can commit fully to what is aligned without hesitation. That confidence does not come from certainty of results. It comes from certainty of guidance. Chosen One. Heaven is also refining your voice in this season. You will notice that when you speak, people listen differently. Not because you are louder, but because you are clearer. There is less explaining, less justifying, less convincing. Authority is emerging naturally. That authority will attract the right collaborators, the right partners, the right platforms. Wealth often flows through alignment with people, not just ideas. And the right people recognize clarity when they encounter it. Anointed One, let me share something personal here. I remember a moment when someone offered support for a project I had been carrying quietly for years. There was no pitch, no pressure. They simply said, "This feels solid. I want to be part of it." In that moment, I understood that alignment creates its own credibility. I did not have to persuade. I simply had to be ready. That readiness is what you are stepping into now. Chosen One. There will also be moments of testing in this phase, but they are different from before. These tests are not about endurance, they are about discernment. You may be offered things that look good, but do not feel right. You may be invited into spaces that flatter, but drain. These are not setbacks, they are confirmations that your discernment is active. Saying no here is part of saying yes to what is truly yours. Anointed One, do not confuse ease with lack of effort. Ease simply means the effort is aligned. You will still work, you will still build, you will still stretch. But the work will feel purposeful instead of punishing. It will energize instead of deplete. That is how you know you are moving with heaven rather than ahead of it. Chosen One. The idea of wealth as a shift is important here. A shift implies movement, but also stability. When something shifts into place, it locks in. You are not in a temporary window. You are in a transition into a new position. Positions come with responsibility, but they also come with support. God does not elevate without resourcing. What He assigns, He supplies. Anointed One, you may find yourself reflecting on past seasons with new compassion. Instead of resentment, there is understanding. You see now why certain things did not work, why certain doors remained closed, why certain prayers were answered with silence. That clarity brings peace, and peace makes room for gratitude that is not conditional on circumstance. Chosen One, gratitude in this season is not about settling. It is about grounding. It keeps you present as things expand. It anchors you as visibility increases. It reminds you that this shift was not achieved through force, but through faithfulness. That remembrance protects your heart as your influence grows. Anointed One, your wealth is no longer in question because your alignment is no longer fragile. You are not building on hope alone. You are building on wisdom earned through experience, surrender, and trust. That foundation can carry weight, and it will. Chosen One, stay attentive to the quiet confirmations, the subtle yeses, the gentle nudges. Heaven often whispers when it trusts you to listen, and you are listening now. Chosen One, this is the moment where everything you have allowed to shift internally begins to settle into embodiment, not as theory, not as inspiration, but as a way of being. Heaven does not simply give wealth, it entrusts it, and entrustment requires embodiment. You are not being asked to believe something new anymore. You are being invited to live from what has already been revealed. Anointed One. This is where many people become uncomfortable because embodiment removes excuses. When you know provision is no longer in question, you can no longer hide behind fear, delay, or hesitation. You are no longer waiting for permission. You are responding to alignment, and response carries responsibility, not pressure, but ownership. Chosen One, let me speak plainly. There was a time when I believed that once abundance arrived, confidence would follow. What I learned instead is that confidence must arrive first, not arrogance, confidence. The quiet knowing that you are supported even when outcomes are not yet visible. That confidence is what allows you to move decisively, without rushing to commit, without clinging, and to lead without dominating. That is the confidence forming in you now. Anointed One. You may notice that your tolerance for misalignment has dropped sharply. Situations that once felt acceptable now feel heavy. Conversations that revolve around complaint, fear, or limitation no longer hold your attention. This is not judgment. This is refinement. You are becoming more selective because your energy is becoming more valuable. Wealth requires discernment, not just in finances, but in focus. Chosen One embodiment also means that you stop outsourcing authority. You are no longer waiting for consensus to move forward. You listen, you discern, you decide, And you do so without needing to announce or defend every step. That is maturity. Heaven trusts those who can act without needing constant affirmation. Anointed One. This does not mean you walk alone. It means you walk anchored. The right counsel will still appear. The right confirmations will still come. But they will confirm what you already sense, not replace it. Your inner compass has been calibrated. You are not guessing anymore. You are navigating. Chosen One, wealth at this level is not about accumulation. It is about amplification. What already exists in you will be magnified. Your values, your priorities, your patterns. That is why this season demanded so much inner work. Heaven does not amplify chaos. It amplifies coherence. What you are carrying now is coherent, integrated, whole. Anointed One, you may feel a quiet grief as well. Grief for the version of you that survived without support. Grief for the years spent striving, overthinking, or bracing for impact. Let that grief pass through. It does not mean those years were wasted. They were foundational, but you are not required to live there anymore. Chosen One. There is a difference between honoring the past and living from it. You can honor what shaped you without allowing it to define your future. This is liberation, and liberation creates capacity. Capacity creates stewardship. Stewardship creates multiplication. Anointed One, as embodiment deepens, you will notice that your prayers change. They become less about asking and more about aligning, less about rescue and more about clarity. You will find yourself saying, "Show me how," instead of "save me from." That shift matters. It signals readiness to partner rather than plead. Chosen One partnership with heaven is not mystical abstraction. It is lived cooperation. It shows up in how you manage your time, your energy, your commitments. You will become more intentional with rest, not as an escape, but as a strategy. You will protect your clarity because clarity is now productive. Anointed One. This is also where generosity takes on a new tone, not performative, not reactive, but strategic. You will give where it aligns, not where it manipulates guilt. You will support what resonates, not what pressures. And because your giving is aligned, it will be sustainable. Heaven honors cheerful, discerning generosity. Chosen One. The question of "Am I really ready?" may still surface occasionally. Let it. Readiness is not the absence of doubt. It is the presence of direction. You do not need to feel invincible to move forward. You need to feel guided, and you are. Anointed One embodiment also brings patience, not passive waiting but grounded expectation. You know things are moving even when they are not visible. You are no longer tempted to force proof. That patience is powerful. It keeps you from exhausting what is meant to endure. Chosen One, let me say this gently. Not everyone will understand this version of you. Some will miss the version that overextended, overexplained, or overgave. That is not your responsibility. You are not here to be universally understood. You are here to be aligned. Those assigned to you will recognize you. Those who are not will drift. Let them. Anointed One, you are stepping into a phase where your presence itself carries weight. You do not need to announce what you are building. The results will speak. And when they do, they will not feel sudden to you. They will feel inevitable, because internally the work has already been done. Chosen One wealth is no longer in question because your life is no longer fragmented. You are not trying to be one thing in prayer and another in practice, one thing in vision and another in execution. Integration has taken place, and integration is fertile ground. Anointed One, stay embodied, stay grounded, stay responsive. Do not rush to define success. Let it unfold, let it mature, Let it root deeply. What grows slowly grows strong. What grows strong lasts. Chosen one, this is not the end of a journey. It is the stabilization of a new way of living, one where trust replaces tension, where clarity replaces confusion, where provision follows alignment as naturally as breath follows life. You are not waiting anymore. You are walking. Chosen one, as this word comes to rest in your spirit, know that heaven has already moved ahead of you. What was once uncertain has now been sealed, and what was once delayed has entered divine motion. Your wealth is no longer in question because the assignment attached to your life has reached its appointed hour. This is your kairos moment, the precise time heaven marked long before you ever understood the process. Anointed one, I declare that a supernatural transfer is already in motion. Doors are aligning, resources are responding, favor is locating you, not through striving, but through surrender. May peace guard your heart as provision begins to manifest. May clarity lead your steps as heaven confirms every decision. And may gratitude rise in you even before the evidence appears, for what God establishes cannot be reversed. Remain faithful, stay aligned. Do not rush the unfolding, and do not doubt the timing. What is coming will arrive with order, stability, and purpose. You are not stepping into lack again, you are stepping into stewardship. And if this word resonated with your spirit, let it be sealed through agreement. Stay connected to this channel as we continue to walk this journey together. And if you feel led, share where you are watching from your city, your place as a quiet testimony that this moment found you right on time. Go forward in peace, chosen one. Heaven has already answered.